Higher gas prices, higher food costs, higher everything, except what is good and decent. Instead, the leaders of the country are showing their pride and getting high on the sound of their own voices. So let's just focus on what's important. Donald Trump and the January 6th committee hearings in prime time. Let me explain. I feel lighter this week. It's only in the pocketbook, but lighter nonetheless. Meanwhile, our leaders are out there in their safe spaces doing the important tasks for the good of the American people, for the betterment of peoplekind, but really only to puff their narcissism and trash any and all of you who don't move lockstep with them. And we start here.
Now, I don't know why they do this, but they only give me one pen. I used to stand in absolute awe and watch Barack Obama sign with 7, 8, 9 different pens. Barack Obama.
I'm in awe.
Awful. The narcissism is strong with that bunch, and if you don't join them lockstep and key, then you are the actual Dr. Evils.
Look, this is not your father's Republican Party. This is a MAGA party. It's a very different Republican Party.
Look, I believe in bipartisanship, but I have no illusions about this Republican Party, the MAGA party. I've been able to bring some Republicans along on parts of my plan, but the fact is Republicans in Congress are still in the grip of the ultra MAGA agenda.
Ultra super duper spectacular MAGA agenda. Like the corn pops of the world. Yeah, the world's a-changin' right in front of Joey's eyes.
Look at the kids. Look at the young people. Best educated, least prejudiced, most giving generation in American history. Turn on the television now. You turn on it. No, I'm serious.
All right, there's something to that, yeah.
No, I'm serious. You turn on the TV, look at the ads. When's the last time you saw biracial couples on TV? When's the last time you saw the way, people are selling products, they do ads to sell products. And they sell products when they appeal to people.
Guess who's coming to dinner? I guess not Lucy and Ricky Ricardo. Before we get to more of this nonsense involving the mainstream media outlets, let's get to the question of the day. Did you watch any of the January 6th committee hearings? We'll talk about it later in the video, so make sure you stay tuned. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you would share the video, then that would be pretty nice too. But back to Joe and the charade that was the 23-minute appearance on Jimmy Kimmel, which began with the lunacy of Joey wearing a mask, all alone backstage, and then taking it off when he came out from behind the Oz curtain to shake Jimmy's hand. At least the wizard behind the curtain was in control of what was happening in the land of Oz. Joe isn't even in control of his faculties. He's our scarecrow.
But here's the deal. One of the things is that it's very difficult now to have even with notable exceptions, even the really good reporters, they have to get the number of clicks on the nightly news. Mm-hmm. So instead of asking a question, anyway, everything gets sensationalized in ways but I'm convinced we can get through this. We have to get through it. And one of the things, look.
I'm going to take a break, and then we'll talk a little bit more,
if you
don't mind.
You.
I'm sorry. We have some of those commercials. We have some biracial commercials we need to show. We'll be back with President Biden.
This is so embarrassing. And even more embarrassing that you would need to be rescued by the racist Jimmy Kimmel.
Sometime at night, call below, look up in sky and say, what the hell going on up there?
But as they did with Jimmy and his blackface, they, the almighty institutions of Washington and the media overlords, just pretend it's all sunshine and rainbows. And since it's Rainbow Month, Nancy Pelosi had to get her pride on in her safe space.
Welcome back. My honor to be here to say to all of you how proud we all are of you. Thank you for the joy and beauty you bring to the world.
Aww.
Your freedom of expression of yourselves in drag is what America is all about. I say that all the time to my friends in drag.
Of course she walked the runway. She can't walk the aisle at Mass to receive communion anymore, so take a wafer from the only people who will worship you.
Can I get an amen? Amen.
Nancy is trying to get hip without throwing one out. With her second appearance on RuPaul's Drag Race, Nancy had to one-up the one and only Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who was on RuPaul's Drag Race a year ago to show her woke bona fides.
I'm so thankful that you're part of our country.
Thank you.
I think you are fabulous.
But AOC revealed who she thinks is not fabulous over the weekend when she was asked to endorse Joe Biden for 2024.
About President Biden, he is saying he's going to run again in 2024. Will you support him?
You know, if the president chooses to run again in 2024, I mean, first of all, I'm focused on winning this majority right now and preserving a majority this year in 2022. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think if the president has a vision, then that's something certainly we're all willing to entertain and examine when the time comes.
That's not a yes.
Yeah, you know, I think we should endorse when we get to it. But I believe that the president has been doing a very good job so far. And, you know, should he run again, I think that I think it's we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
But right now we need to focus on winning a majority instead of a presidential election.
Awkward. I'd say that was a come-a-llama ding-dong word salad, but we actually all know what AOC means, even if she tried to defend herself on her favorite platform, the Instagram, after the interview. Claiming the endorsement question as a curveball, AOC said we're talking hypothetical and yada yada yada.
Yada yada.
Yada what?
Yada yada yada.
If only George Costanza was one of AOC's constituents. Fun fact, the Seinfeld characters would be represented by Jerry Nadler. Anyway, back to the possibility of Joe Biden running in 2024.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with it. We just got back from New Mexico. We just got back from California. That is not a question that we should be even asking. Just look at the work that he does. Look how he's delivering for the American public.
What exactly would that be? Let's get to today's check-in on gas prices.
I am President of the United States of America, and the buck stops with me.
Same as last week, the prices have only increased. Looks like we have nationally mounted the back of Lincoln, and now we'll be paying one Lincoln and one little Lincoln per gallon of gas, now at $5.01, a nickel's increase from a week ago. You may have already been there where you live, and now you can feel comforted in knowing that we're all there now. Clearly, it's the gasoline's fault for all of this. Or Putin. Or Orange Man Bad. But definitely not Biden's fault in any way. And let's just focus on the future, as described by AOC. Fossil fuels are old technology. We should all be getting heat pumps and going to electric vehicles, she says. It's also for the climate crisis. Darn those cow farts. AOC continued her Instagram question-answer session by bragging that she kept Walmart out of New York City. It's almost like when she kept Amazon out, too. Her argument is that wages would be driven down, and they are a pro-union, pro-small business, pro-immigrant city. She must also be pro-homeless, pro-crime, pro-breadlines. But what do I know? She's the one who earned an economics degree from Boston University. And she's a balanced person who checks in with herself and gets her nails done consistently for her self-care. She replays every single day to take notes so she can make improvements. And she keeps her honest friends close to her so they can encourage that personal growth. And she needs that growth. We all need some growth, especially in our bank accounts and our stocks because they are down and yada, yada, yada.
All the gains from President Biden's time in office have been wiped out.
So, as you know, we're watching closely. We know families are concerned about inflation in the stock market. That is something that the president is really aware of. And so, look, we face global challenges. We've talked about this. We're not the only country dealing with what we're seeing at the moment as it relates to inflation. You know, Putin's price hike, inflation, coming out of a once in a generation global pandemic. All of those things play a factor. And but the way that we see this is that the American people are well positioned to face these challenges because of the economic historic gains that we have made under this president in the last 16 months.
What's that you say? The U.S. inflation sped on up to a 40-year high in May, with the consumer price index increasing 8.6% in the past year? Come again? The figures dash any hope that inflation had already peaked and was starting to ebb. Record gasoline prices, paired with unrelenting food and shelter costs, are adding strain to Americans' cost of living, suggesting the Fed will have to pump the brakes on the economy even harder. That raises the risk of a recession, which some economists already saw as likely next year. Fine. I'll give Karine one more chance. Can you give us an answer on what is happening with the baby formula shortage?
Yeah, let me see if I have anything new for you on that. I think it's been a couple of days since we have been asked that question. Okay. I don't have anything new. I know we made some announcements last week.
Quick. What can we pivot to?
This will be a multimedia presentation with video, with documentary kind of feel to it. This will be the most highly produced congressional hearing in history.
Aha! Produced indeed. The primetime airing of the January 6th committee's hearings is a spectacle that has been happening since January 6th, 2021. Despite them being the progressive party, these politicians and media can't stop, won't stop talking about January 6th, as if democracy depended on it, which is what they want you to think and be fearful of. If you use any logic, though, you know that democracy is not at stake, and since we are a constitutional republic, they should just sit right back down and read the Constitution.
So I come before you this evening, not as a Democrat, but as an American who swore an oath to defend the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't protect just Democrats or just Republicans. It protects all of us, we the people. And this scheme was an attempt to undermine the will of the people. So tonight, and over the next few weeks, we're going to remind you of the reality of what happened that day. But our work must do much more than just look backwards. Because of our democracy remains in danger.
Give him an Emmy. They are grasping at anything to make themselves feel superior. This is the strategy of the Democrats going into the fall. Let's throw out whatever we can and see if any of the spaghetti sticks to the wall. They decided to get their friends to air the hearings in prime time because it's yet another attempt to see if it sticks. They are that desperate for votes and will pander to it for all to hear.
With the midterm elections coming up, it's very important for people to make their voices and their vote heard.
They're begging for votes, especially for failed Georgia gubernatorial race baiter Stacey Abrams, who really is puffed enough, but Joe felt she needed some more puffing.
There's three things I learned about early on. One, she's loyal. Two, she's capable. And three, she's smarter than you, me. She knows what she's doing.
You is smart, you is kind, you is important. That's so good.
I tell my son that he is kind, he is smart, and he is capable. But he's 2, not 48. And he's also not a delusional liar who thinks everyone is a racist. Am I talking about Stacey or Joe? You'll never know. But the answer is both. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and the Democrats are desperate. So don't expect them to focus their attention on anything that would actually help out you and me. It's only about getting votes in November, and that calls for some pandering. So as I pander to you, remember to give your F's, faith, family, and friends. Because you is smart, you is kind, you is not a Democrat. Also, feel free to share this video with that announcement. Until next time, stay healthy, America.